What's the genre of music that plays Jackie Blue and Chicken Train back to back? What do you call that? We got started at A&M Records when our management, who also managed Brewer and Shipley at the time, they were based out of Kansas City. We made a demo tape and took it to them, and they liked it, and we decided to represent us. Stan Plesser and Paul Peterson were our managers out of Good Karma Productions in Kansas City. They went to Hollywood and to conduct some business with Brewer and Shipley at A&M Records. So they had their meeting, everything was fine and hunky-dory, and at the end of the meeting, they said, oh yeah, and by the way, here, we've got this cassette of this new band back in the Ozarks we're working with. Why don't you give it a listen? And they handed it to a gentleman by the name of David Anderle, who was the head of A&R for A&M Records. And David Anderle listened to about 2 or 3 songs. He hit the stop button on the tape player. He picked up the phone, and he called Glenn Johns, his close friend and world-renowned producer. And they've been looking for a band to work on together because they were such close friends. They wanted to have fun and do a project together because they were such good friends, and they wanted to get a typical American band, rough and woolly from the heartland. And they found us. So he said, Glenn, you know that band we've been looking forward to produce together? I found them. So they liked our band, they liked our songs, they liked us as people, and we got introduced to Jerry Moss, who was the M of A&M. He became our liaison to the company, and we dealt with Jerry on almost an everyday basis. A&M Records was a wonderful record label for the fact that Jerry Moss gave us, as he did all of his artists, complete artistic control. There wasn't a marketing man over our shoulders going, oh, I think you should turn that up, I think you should turn that down. He left us all to our own creativity. We made the music, we made the art, we turned the art in. Jerry Moss took over to sell the music. But no, he didn't interfere one iota, which was cool for a bunch of young hippie musicians from the Ozarks who were just having a great time. We knew that our music would be successful because we knew the value of a good song. And we had good songs. You know, you can take a bad song, put a bunch of bells and whistles on it, and sell it. We had good songs, and we were a good band. We were a self-contained unit, and we had confidence in what we were doing and in our abilities and in our songs. So yeah, I wasn't surprised when it became successful. And we did our thing, and we turned in the album. We had a hit record, If You Want to Get to Heaven. Then we turned in the second record, and had a hit song with Jackie Blue. So we kind of said, well, maybe these hillbillies know what they're doing. Jerry flew into the Ozarks to hear some of our new songs for a new album. We took him to a clothing store, and we bought him some bib overalls and a straw hat. That's what he wanted. He wanted bib overalls and a straw hat, and he wanted to come and sit on the front porch and listen to some music with the frogs and crickets in the background and, you know, and the dogs howling off in the distance. He loved that. He would come and he would hang out for a couple days. We played music. He would eat just around the table with the rest of them. He was just one of the guys. And he was just a great, he was a team player. And when he was on your team, you knew your team would be successful. One thing that bothered all these guys, these LA guys, is they weren't worried about the snakes, and they weren't worried about the wild animals howling. They were deathly afraid of ticks. Oh God, oh God, you know, deathly afraid of ticks. But he flew down to the Ozarks and hung out for a couple days, and we just had a great time playing music and enjoying each other's company. And A&M was a very, very good record company for us. A bunch of young hippies who were just making the rules up as we went along. After a couple records, he did make an offer. He offered us, he says, would you guys relocate to Los Angeles? That would give us easier access to the industry. We could go on the Tonight Show, and we could go on the Mike Douglas Show. We could go on the Smothers Brothers Show. We go on Sonny and Cher Show. And we thought about it, and we decided to not relocate. We said, Mr. Moss, thank you, but we think we should stay here in the Ozarks, which is what we did. I don't think he was very happy with it, but he respected it. And so we stayed here, and here we are years later, and we're still making music and still making records and still playing gigs and living the dream. He enjoyed our little projects. He enjoyed most of our little projects. And when we would come up with these crazy ideas and these wacky notions, he was tickled by some of them and he enjoyed them. And then he made us that offer and we refused it. So we recorded 6 albums with A&M and the contract was over. And then we moved on to sign with Columbia, CBS. And then from there on, blah, 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 51 years. But Jerry was a dedicated businessman, hardworking and very smart. He was a great businessman, a great guy. He enjoyed the diversity. And that's why A&M was a perfect record company for us. You know, it wasn't cookie cutter songs on cookie cutter albums. We weren't like that. So, and he enjoyed that. And that was one of the fortes of A&M Records, and that was why it was such a perfect match. And we were very, very lucky to have been signed to A&M Records, and we're very, very lucky to have met Jerry Moss, and we're very lucky to have had him in our lives. Because he was such a nice man, a great guy, and we all consider them our friend. Not only a business associate, but a friend, you know? And it kind of made me sad, but you know what? We all got to go someday. One day it's going to be you. One day it's going to be me. C'est la vie.